I'd like to call the meeting to order for PZA for July 20th, 2022. We get a roll call, please, Kelly. Number two. Sorry.
Mr. Featherling?
Here.
Mr. Miller? Mr. Tholen? Ms. Peters? Present. Mr. Fairfield? Present. Mr. Snipes? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Dennell? Mr. Eckhoff? Present. Mr. Kirkstra? Ms. Hudson? Present. Mr. Alexander Hildebrand? Mr. Gowler? Ms. Foster? Here. Mr. Wheeler? Mr. Seroy? We do not have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. One short, right, Kelly?
Right.
Just one, okay. Okay, I can go to public comment without a quorum. So is there anybody here that came to speak for or against any of the petitions that are on the, make comments about any of the petitions that are on the agenda for today? Would like to speak at the microphone? Nobody? Okay, I haven't notified of any other public comments, so I guess that's where we gotta stand. So
I could do old business if you'd like. It doesn't require a vote.
yeah, we can. I really rather do nothing, but we could do old business.
Okay.
Anybody can look at YouTube and see what we did. So
yeah. Kelly, could you? I think it's all the way at the bottom. Keep going. There. Last month we had a discussion about the Regional Planning Commission and its membership, so I did a little researching on it, and we currently the RPC is supposed to have a full membership at 17, 2 of those members being county board members. I went through the records. We currently have 15 members sitting on the RPC, 14 if you consider Mr. Payton. He resigned from the county board but not the RPC as of yet. I don't know what he's doing in that regard, so we still have him marked as a membership or as a member. Out of that though, there are 3 other members who have not reapplied for their membership since 2020, so those are considered open positions until they do reapply. But they are still on the board. So when you see that we have 6 openings on the Regional Planning Commission, that is true, but 2 of them are actual openings. We also need another county board member. We're supposed to have 2 members. We had Chad Miller and Sam Payton. Sam, as he resigned from the county board, can no longer fill that role. He could still stay on the RPC, but he can't fill the role of a county board member, so we do need another county board member on there. So that's where we're at. We also, the committee also asked about attendance. I don't know if you can see that there though, but the red, yellow, green is their attendance. I went back to 2019. Since then, we've had 6 meetings, and there are anybody who's in red on there, it has attended less than 50% of those meetings. Anybody who attended more than 70% of the meetings is in green, and between 50 and 70% is in yellow.
okay.
So we do have a quite a large attendance problem as well of the members that are there. So I thought I'd give you guys an update on that, let you know where we're at. Chad Miller is the chairman of the Regional Planning Commission, so I'll be talking with him in the coming weeks about ways that we can try to fix this.
What are the duties and responsibilities of being on that commit? How often are they supposed to meet? Are you schedule a meeting every month, or is that what you do?
Meetings are scheduled every other month.
Okay.
Oftentimes though, they do get canceled if we don't have anything going on. Okay. They are a hearing board for plans, ordinances, any planning related issues. We generally take it to the Regional Planning Commission first, and they make recommendations to the county board. When it comes to landfills and some solid waste issues, they actually have more authority, as they are the hearing officers for any public hearings involving that. Transportation Division uses the RPC as a public hearing body, so any time that we have a transportation project that requires a public hearing, we take it to the Regional Planning Commission for that public hearing.
Okay, my question is, how can somebody that does a planning not have anything to do? It's kind of strange with all the things we have going on around here that there wouldn't be anything involved in planning.
But we have a lot of projects going on, and we do a lot of updates on those, such as the Greenways and Trails Plan. That's been presented to them. We are just now starting to get back to that project with the loss of Mike Mergenthaler last year. That set us back a little bit on that. All of our transportation plans go before them. We don't really have any land use plans in the works at this point, although our comprehensive plan does need to be updated.
What year was our last update on that?
2005.
Oh.
And generally, they're a 20-year plan, and you want to start updating them after 15 years. So.
Yeah.
But we are past due.
We're good now? Okay. Okay, well, I just wondered why you're having so few meetings, and, you know, nobody's coming in when you do have them. So, do you have quorums when you have?
No, that's been difficult too.
Okay. All right. So if people come and then nobody's there, and then they go home, then?
No, since they generally, we do anything that doesn't get voted on.
Okay.
A lot of times it's just presentations of plans and ideas and a discussion, not necessarily a vote or recommendation.
Okay. So I guess we need to look at some things for that, I think. Because if we have that meeting, we have that sounding body, if they're not ready to pull together to have something comes up, then you got a problem. If you got to have a planning commission meeting and you only get 2 people to come to the meeting. So I guess we'll have to look at that though.
Okay.
Okay, being housed, we have a quorum now. Kelly, you have a quorum?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go back to the regular agenda. We got approval of the minutes from June 22nd. Get a motion by Mr. Fairfield, second by Mr. Eckhoff. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thanks. Okay, Dell's got the building report. Everybody has a copy of it. You want to talk about anything specific, Dell, or you want to just run through it real quick?
Well, that's the building report for June. You should have it in your packet. We issued permits for 3 new houses that month. Total permits that were issued was 116. Revenue collected was $34,486.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
Excuse me, that was for permits. Total revenue collected was $38,086, including fines and fees.
Do we need a vote to accept that, I guess? Sure. Ms. Foster? 12. Yeah. Okay. I think I got you.
Can you,
okay.
Where were those permits at? The 3 permits for housing?
I don't have that information offhand. We can get that for you.
We can sure find out for you.
Yeah, I'd like to know to see where the population growth is in the county.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? We get a vote on this, right?
Yes.
Okay. Get a motion to accept the building report. Ms. Peters, to Robert Snipes. Second, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next thing we have is get a motion and a second for the first ZBA case. Get a motion from somebody. Okay, Colton. Mr. Snipes, a second. Oh, Ms. Hudson over here, second. Okay, we have ZBA case 22-05 as a request for a variance to section 121-99 11A3B lot width in the A1 agricultural district on a parcel generally situated in section 35 of Gaynor Township. The petitioner is a municipal trust and savings bank, trust number 2593, property owner Neil Trudeau, applicant. Okay.
All
Del?
right, this is a very interesting variance in regards to the fact that the reason they need a variance is because they have too much land. They've requested a farmstead exemption to divide the farmhouse and acreage from the existing farm. Part of our rules states that it must be no more than between 1 and 5 acres, and they meet the 5-acre requirement, but it can't be more than 499 feet wide. Because of the configuration on the property, the frontage on this one is 690 feet, so they are requesting a variance of 191 feet for the wider lot. The Zoning Board of Appeals heard this case on July 11th and voted 6-0 to recommend approval.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? This one's kind of there. Does anyone have any questions about it? Any more? No? Okay.
Just for my own knowledge, why the footage lot width limitation?
That's what
I'm
I was
just trying to
yeah.
understand why they would limit the width. Is it turns for driveways? I'm just trying to logic
I looked
behind it.
into that. I went back through the minutes and of the meetings that this was approved at, and there was very little discussion about that. If I had to give, I'll have to give an answer, and I'm guessing that the limitation on width was so that you don't, so that the lots didn't get so wide that they could be divided again later, and therefore get 2 lots instead of the 1. That's really the only thing I can think of. There wasn't a lot of discussion in the minutes about why they chose a width.
And how can your lot be too big?
That's
Great.
kind of
No.
it, but the way zoning works, if you can't meet the regulations, you must request
Okay,
a variance or
okay.
alter your plans to meet the regulations. So
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
had to make them go through this process. Staff certainly has no issues with it. The configuration here does justify it because of the pond and the way the layout is.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
At some future date, I'd like to get that changed in the ordinance when we
Yeah, we need to go
next
through
time we
there,
make updates.
write up a couple different things. Okay. That's a wintertime project, right?
Could be.
Could be. Okay. Thanks. Okay, we had a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. All motion carries, I would say. Okay, next up, we get a motion and a second to approve it. Okay, Mr. Snipes first, second Mrs. Hudson, Miss Hudson. Okay, thank you. Okay, Dale, what do you got for this one?
Did you want to read it into the record first?
Yeah, CBA case -22-06 is a request for a special use permit number 13C for a single-family home in an R1 single-family residential district on a parcel generally situated in section 10 of Aroma Township. The petitioner is Mark Wells, property owner and applicant. Okay, Dale?
As Mr. Featherling spoke, it is a request for a special use permit to build a single-family residence on the 5-acre parcel outlined in red on your screen. It's located on 1500 South Road in Aroma Township. It is completely surrounded by R1 residential property, even though there is farming there. Excuse me, it's a 7-acre, not a 5-acre tract. Ordinance requires that any home in the R1 district on acreage more than 2 acres requires a special use permit. So that's where the case is before you. It went to public hearing on July 11th as well, and it was recommended for approval by the Zoning Board of Appeals 6-0.
Okay. Dale, was there any public comment on the changing this around?
There was not.
Okay, a nice piece of property here. Okay, anyone else have any questions for Dell? No, barring none, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Can I get all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. No opposed, motion carries. Okay, next up is We can combine these, Kelly? Okay, we're gonna combine 6 here. We're gonna do a reappointment of Larry Kirkster to the GIS Committee, and appointment of Stephen Bukowski to the Historic Preservation Commission. Get a first and a second. Okay, Colton and Mr. Snipes, first and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next up for planning is the adoption of Kankakee Regional Land Bank Services Agreement and Housing of Employee. Housing of Employee. Okay, I got it.
I believe Mr. Wheeler will present.
Mr. Wheeler's 13.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the result of about 2.5 months of work with the Land Bank, their attorney, and the city of Kankakee and their legal representative. The state's attorney's office here has been with me on this. The Land Bank, as you may remember, is established a little over a year ago to basically take vacant residential or to repurpose non-tax paying properties and get them back on the tax rolls in general, residential and commercial. It could go into industrial as well if that was the case, but that's mainly the focus of the group. It's a governmental unit made up of the city of Kankakee, and the county created the land bank. They have no tax levy, and they basically are supported by incremental sales of these properties. So let's just give as an example, they go out and acquire 3 houses on a block that are boarded up in, let's just say, Kankakee, and they get those houses, they wipe away all the liens and the back taxes, because those then you have the basis points are a lot lower, and it makes it advantageous for someone to develop a home to either rent out or buy. The key is that it's back paying taxes. It's a fast track process to doing this. You don't have to go through the courts for 2.5 years, especially when the owner is a bank that's on the other side of the world or a country. So though that's a big sticking point with a lot of these deals. And so it's a really nice tool for the revitalization of both city and county properties. We've identified our vacant properties. The city is doing that now. So this agreement would allow, there needs to be staff to do that. It's somebody who understands the finance side of this, understands real estate, understands commercial real estate, somebody who can really just drive every project from concept to fruition. The board is an active board made up of industry specialists, if you will, and people connected to these communities. So it's a good start, but now we need to have somebody just take the ball and run with it. The time to stop forming this, or to form this, is over, and now we're going to start getting that incremental churn. So those 3 houses sell, as I mentioned. If we acquired them for $2,500 or $5,000 and we sold them for $50, let's just say for all 3, and then they redeveloped them, well, that little margin that we made goes out to acquire more properties. So it's not a organization to just pay for salaries for somebody to work there, because if it doesn't work, then we don't get these properties back on the tax rolls. So we're the county, so we're the trustee. The city has home rule, so that's why this works together. And it doesn't work without either one of us. So this agreement is basically for the PZA is to say, you know, yes, we agree with the methodology. And let me back up a second. This mirrors almost exactly what we do for the Economic Alliance. They are our employees just for the benefits, and then the funding for the salary comes from elsewhere. So this agreement, which we will take the financial part of this to the Finance Committee, and then this agreement, if you approve it here, will go to the Executive Committee for final approval before the board. It basically says, yes, they will be a county employee. We will take care of all of those back office things like HR, the hiring process, you know, the posting, you know, the insurances, all of those types of things that you have to have for an employee. And then the other side of it is the funding for the salary is coming from, for the next 2.5 years, is from a grant that the city got. And so there is no, that's kind of the general partnership, is the city is in for the finance side of it, and then we're in for the benefit side of it, and we're gonna have an office in Dell's area down there for this employee to operate out of here. That's the only difference really with the Alliance arrangement, is because they're housed somewhere else with the Alliance, they'll actually be in our building as their office. So that kind of, it's a general explanation. There's more specifics to be worked out, but we're basically saying they are going to be employee of the planning department, but they're really under the direction of the land bank board of directors. We just want to make sure that we're able to attract a good employee, and you can't do that without benefits. So I guess they're open to questions on it. The paperwork is pretty straightforward, but you know, the financial systems have all been worked out in the back, how this is going to go to the planning office. You know, they'll be on our payroll, but the money is being prepaid over to the county with this grant. So we're working with the state of Illinois and all appropriate people on that, and it's basically got the blessing that yes, this is legal, it's good, it's a setup that works for everybody.
Okay.
So
Will that be an inside-outside job, Andy? No, you know me, in-house, out-house.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hear inside job. I think something else. Yeah,
no, I mean.
So yeah, they're going to be in and out of here. Exactly.
Okay.
They'll be working with both the city code department, our planning department on code. You know, working with banks and lenders and prospective buyers and developers, and I mean it's all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, how about a vehicle and that type of stuff? Does Dell have to supply them a vehicle then too?
No, they have their own vehicle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I have a question.
Sure.
How is it going to work with properties in the county as opposed to in the city?
The jurisdiction is the county properties. We don't have jurisdiction in any municipalities except for Kankakee. Or actually, we don't have jurisdiction. The land bank has jurisdiction for county properties, but not in municipalities. They would have to join the land bank in order to have that availability.
Okay.
Which means they have to share in the cost,
Okay.
but they also share in the benefit.
Okay. So if Mantino wanted to take care of one that was in the town itself, then they
would
could
have to
actually
join
come to you.
They would have to join the land bank.
And then
be
we're,
approved by that board.
how do you apply for this then?
They would have to apply to the land bank.
So would they apply, or would building inspectors walk in and go, this house
No.
gotta go?
No.
Or this is a problem, or that's a problem, too many citations here, or whatever on there?
No, only from the city and from the county, and they would be handled through the land bank, not through Delbert or Ben or me.
So the land bank is gonna meet once a month then? Is that how it's gonna work, where you
It's
go over
whatever their
properties?
schedule is.
Whatever they have
Yep.
to have, okay.
Yeah, we don't manage that.
Okay,
We will just have the employee here, and we appoint 3 people to the land bank board. The city of Kankakee appoints 3 people.
okay,
It's set up basically that if there's not complete agreement, then it doesn't happen.
okay.
Yeah.
And then where I was going, where I think Ms. Foster was going, is that, say there's a house that's in the county that we want to do, the city of Kankakee help us out on that too then?
It's the land bank that is the board.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I mean actually out in the county, like out on a farm, corner on a farm?
Yeah, we're
then-
the ones who have a list, and let's just say there's a pack of undeveloped or houses or boarded up houses in a rural area. We can ask that those be targeted and say, could you please try to get these properties back on the tax rolls? We can even try to push developers their direction. It's really their decision on what they do, but we do appoint to that board.
Okay,
I hope that makes sense.
yeah. Do you know if
So
there'll be,
we want them to be independent of the county.
will there be any special funding available for these contractors that try to do this, like low interest, construction loans, or low interest?
There's TIF, enterprise zone, all of those things that are available to any private developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
If they're in the particular zones that have been legislated.
okay. Okay, anyone else have any? Okay, Colton, what's up? Number nine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a great new process and a great new way to go ahead and get more people back on the tax rolls and to go ahead and create new, expand our tax base. The only question I have is, what's the seed money for this land bank?
The county has a $170,000 grant. County has a $170,000 grant to start with. That is for residential purposes, and believe me, we could go a long way. The city has money into managing those grants through the EDC over there with Barbie. So they have staff time on managing those grants, but the developers don't necessarily get grants, but what you can do is we're going to keep applying for more grants for the land bank. And so a good example would be, and by the way, land banking is a tough business because it's incremental sales. I mean, you just don't, it's not a money-making endeavor. It's just enough to go out and buy another property and get money out of that to buy the next one. So they're challenged around the state as far as staffing and resources to do these things. Some years ago, Lisa Madigan gave $1 million to the South Suburban Land Bank, which was like 50 communities, so it didn't go very far. We'll take the $1 million, obviously. That would be great if she wants to come out of retirement and send it our way. But in the general sense, there may be seed money down the road with ARPA money that we have kind of mentioned a little bit. If we want to go out and acquire, if it's a larger deal, it's all deal driven. If we have a developer says, hey, I want to do 20 houses. Well, God bless you. We're to help you walk through and just determine where those are or help you decide where you want to invest your money, or just take the money and start the process with the courts and everything. So,
okay, and then who's going to decide who gets the projects?
Who gets the
That
project?
board, is they going to go in front of the board and?
The people who step up and pay for the properties.
Okay.
This is all purely driven by investment. This isn't a government handout.
What if you have 10 people that want the same property?
Well, then they could bid for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
more money, more money, more money. You know what I mean?
All right.
It's not a problem.
That's how it works.
That's what we
Okay.
want. But the key is that we have the ability to wipe away back taxes and liens. Sometimes that's 7 figures on a house that's worth 120.
Yeah.
And so if you can wipe that away, well, it might not even be worth 120. It's boarded up and has no floor.
Yeah.
But it could be worth 120.
Right.
So the key is, could we buy that house for 25, or not we, the developer? If we can wipe away everything, they put 50 grand into it, and then we got a house back on the rolls, a vibrant type situation. So it's the rural area is a little more challenged. You could, as they say, swing a rope around and probably hit 4 houses that need to be done in certain parts of Kankakee. And that's what it's for. It's either or, and commercial. If you look, if there's facades falling off of empty buildings here, those are ripe for commercial revitalization. So.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Janice, nothing? Okay.
By the way, if you want to know, it's about $30,000 a year is what it costs for family insurance, FICA, work comp, all those different things. So that's like per employee, just so we can all put that in our head.
Yeah, I
we
saw
did the
that
math.
figure.
It's about 30 grand for every employee, and that's anywhere, really.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. I thought that was kind of freaky. Yeah. Where does it become a point where it's worth being self-insured?
If you're healthy, it works.
Yeah.
If you're
Mr.
not,
Snipes, was that a finger pointing up for me, or was that just pointing up to the sky?
Just to verbalize, I understand what is being done, but I'm trying to wrap my head around the wording, because when I'm looking at housing for an employee, I'm thinking if a layman was to look at that, they're thinking we're providing a housing for an employee, until you look into the information is giving in our particular package, where it basically is just preserving a spot in a building somewhere for the employee. That word is unclear. And then we allude to the 55 ILC 5-5/510-521, and I'm again looking at it says to appropriate and expand funds from the county's treasurer for economic development purposes, including the making of grants or any other governmental entity or commercial enterprise deemed necessary or desirable for the promotion of economic development in the county. So I'm assuming that the economic development is relating to getting those properties that's off the tax roll back on the tax roll, so that the county can, I believe, start collecting taxes from the property, and that the property is back into production and somebody's in it, so it is aesthetically and economically good for the county. So I think we fit in that pretty much, and I see the county we receive 100,000 and we expend. So it's, I mean, the overall concept I see is good, as long as the system works. And the only way we're gonna find out the system works is to start working it
That's right.
and singing. But what my question would be is this something? If I'm looking at it right, this is something that's pre-tax sale. We don't have to wait till it gets to the tax sale to sell it for the taxes. The land bank can see the dilapidated property before it gets further dilapidated and get it back on the tax roll. Is that what I'm understanding?
I believe it is, Andy, is that correct?
There are many
shortcut.
levers that can be pulled. That would be one with some slight modifications, but yeah, it can be post, pre, abandonment, condemnation. Those are I don't want to say quick take because it seems like it's an eminent domain thing, but these are absent owners who have buildings falling in on themselves. So we're not talking about just taking people's houses. You know what I mean? This is things that are abandoned in certain places or banks that aren't even in the area. So the key would be to get them before they hit that third tax sale, because that's when they redeem and get all the interest from our taxpayers. People don't know that that's an actual investment model out there where you go buy up properties that you have no intention of holding on to, but then you hold them for 2 years, and right before the third sale, you redeem them and do a sale and error, and then we have to pay interest on that amount of money. It's a business model that pays more than bank interest does. So if we're able to get those properties, and that's one of the reasons I like land bank so much, we can just get all these. They're little slivers of easements and whatever, get them into the land bank so that stops. And they're not going to be put out there, but that's where I would come to the board and say, we need $15,000 to get these properties that have been sold 6 times and redeemed 6 times, because it cost us $90,000 in interest on those.
Yeah.
It's better to go put them to sleep somewhere and then be able to get them to somebody if the next door neighbor wants that little easement to add to their property. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
So there's multiple reasons to have this in play, and one is to save money on the county side. So.
Okay.
Which is, and I mean, I've thought those particular efforts because a lot of times we just have buildings sitting, so it's another tool in the process.
Well, and there's other ways that you can look at it too, is that if you go into a neighborhood and you got one house in the middle of it that's dragging down the value in the neighborhood, and you put that back in the value of the neighborhood, then everything in the neighborhood would increase steadily instead of being held back by
And you don't have to wait that 3 years for it to go to a tax sale. Yeah.
So it's really good for the neighborhood too. People like to see work going on and things getting fixed in their
It's almost like community revitalization.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Ms. Peters.
Thank you, Mr.
Oops,
Chairman.
sorry, wrong one. 16.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question. So the $30,000 in health insurance, IMRF, is that all covered under the salary money that's coming from Kankakee, or that is our responsibility?
Yes, that's our end of it, and that's what we're limited to.
We're limited to the
We're
benefits.
limited to just what is in this agreement. So we, again, just like the Alliance, we don't want to pay the salary and everything else, or have the shifting sands of, we can afford this much this year and this much that year. We have to budget for this. And so that's why that ILCS language is in there, because in order for us, our legal responsibility is to budget for a position. We just know that the revenue's coming in from another source to pay for that position, except for those benefits that we talked about.
Okay.
And then it doesn't, you say that the salary's paid for 2 years, then what happens if they run out of grant money? Is Kankakee then supposed to put in for the salary, or will it be split, or is there?
Every 2.5 years, the agreement has to be, well, every 2 years, but this time 2.5, because a new board will sit down. Just like the Economic Alliance, we have to re-vote on this every 2 years when a new board is seated. And so that's when we would have the opportunity to say, yes, we want to, is there another grant to do the pay? Is Kankakee gonna do the pay? Do we have 4 other municipalities that are gonna divide that up? You see where I'm going? But if we get to that point, and we've said this openly in the meeting, if we get to that point in 2.5 years and we don't have enough churn going to have some money coming into the land bank, we're gonna have to take a hard look in the mirror and see what the problem is. So the board is not committing to this arrangement longer than the 2.5 years.
It's not a lifetime thing.
It's not, we're not getting married.
Okay,
Right, thank you.
thanks. Okay, anyone else? Okay, Ms. Foster?
The land bank itself is already established and has members on it.
As board members, yes.
And who are they?
Let's see, the county's appointees are Matt Oshesky from People's Bank, Joe Nugent from Nugent Curtis Real Estate, and Lisa Sanford, who's a realtor as well.
Right.
And the city's appointees were Barbie Brewer Watson from EDC, Victor Navarez, Alderman, and Gaines Hall, the architect who redid the Bradley House over here. So we have architects, finance people, commercial and residential real estate people, and then Victor, who's connected obviously to the Hispanic community, and that's a big part of what's going on in the city of Kankakee. So.
Okay, Mr. Eckler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Number 9. Can you hear me now? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if a municipality wanted to go ahead and come into this land bank, what would they have to go ahead and bring to come forward? Is there a certain amount of money, or what's the process on that?
That's a to be defined process that's the one thing left in their bylaws that they have to work out. What's going to be their process. Okay. And what the first part was to get the bylaws and this agreement up and get the employee and start identify some projects. And then the next thing was just what you're talking about. Okay. So we want other people to be, and I've had 3 other municipalities reach out and say, and I said, well, they'll definitely let you know when the time comes, and I think it's soon. Okay. Yeah. But we had to get the foundational stuff done first. Okay. And by the way, the reason this is here now is because the grant that's paying for that $197,000 expires, and so we have to move on this, or else they lose that grant money for the first 2.5 years. So we're lucky that the lawyers finally got done. I think they get paid by the hour. I've heard something about that, but there was a lot of discussions going on, between the legal people, and we finally have this all hammered out. So.
Okay, so Andy, we need to vote on that then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's voted to send it to with a recommendation to finance.
Okay.
Yeah. And executive.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion to send this to the regional land bank services agreement to the finance committee. And we got a first by Ms. Hudson, you get a second by Colton. Get a roll call, please, Kelly.
Mr. Featherling?
Yes.
Ms. Peters?
Aye.
Mr. Fairfield?
Aye.
Mr. Snipes?
Just a point of order. When we're spending money, so we're gonna be in a cachet with that, the bonus cases from the 3rd District Appellate Court, we do have to say aye or name when it comes to that versus just a no. So I'm just saying that they got caught up because they said yes and no. And just for the purpose of that,
Robert's rules.
That case, I think we kind of need to stick for the purpose of when we're spending and sending something somewhere, that I and they will be taken.
Just as a purpose of caution. You can do what you want, but I just want to make sure that's known.
Yeah, we have to start over then. We'll go ahead and start over. I don't want to have any problems with Andy at the end here.
Mr. Featherling?
Aye. I mean,
Ms.
sorry.
Peters?
Aye.
Mr. Fairfield?
Aye.
Mr. Snipes?
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Aye.
Ms. Hudson?
Aye.
Ms. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler?
C.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Si, senor. Okay. Okay. Dell has something on the roll business. We already did that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything for new business? 6 openings on the Kankakee County Regional Planning Commission. We just talked about this a little while ago.
I got 2 items for new business as well.
Okay, but we got openings on these committees. Guys need to be looking around their district and see if you can come up with people for these spots, because somebody has to show some interest. Somebody comes around, wants to do something, and you don't have anything going. You have a meeting and the guys don't know each other when they get there. That doesn't usually blend very well for a very homogeneous meeting, so. Okay, Del, another new business?
Couple other new business items. We'll probably, in the next week or two, be posting another job opening for a GIS tech. Our current tech has given his notice, so we'll be having a job opening. If you know anybody in the GIS field, send them my way. As of yesterday, we now are in possession of the 2 floodplain buyout properties over on Laurel Lane. We've scheduled the asbestos inspection. If that comes back at a reasonable amount of time, I would expect to see the bid openings at your next Planning and Zoning Committee meeting.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Hold on, Mr. Fairfield, you're 11, okay.
I was just curious if you could give us what the requirements are for your GIS tech.
I don't have the job description in front of me, but they need to have educational or experience in the GIS field, entering data, drawing maps.
Okay.
It is an entry-level position, so they have a background in CAD. It might be possible that they would work.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else have anything else? Okay, Colton, Mr. Eckroth.
For the demolition. 9. For the demolition, is that going to be in the Daily Journal, or what newspaper are we going to?
Would be the Daily
solicit
Journal.
bids?
There
Okay.
would be a notice in the Daily Journal.
Thank you.
Okay.
And will be posted on the county's website too.
So we'll have that all graded out and flat by winter time?
Yes, probably before fall would be the goal here.
Okay, thanks. Okay, anyone else have anything? Mr. Snipes.
Just to point, Billy Baptist, the pro basketball player who's from our area, is having a community function kind of similar to the Steve Hunter Fest. That'll be out in Pioneer Park. So if you're out there, I know we got the choirs and things of that nature, but come out and I guess enjoy yourself. It's a presentation of safe communities. So just want to put out there, you can send me a email, so I'm responding to inform the board.
Thanks.
Saturday. This Saturday.
Ms. Peters. Get a second, Ms. Hudson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Opposed, nay. No nays.